So let's continue on that script. I kind of like the video formats to be short, so that's why I did cut a bit before. So when it's 15-minute long, trying to stop, it's better to access and to re-look at if you want to look at it. Anyway, so what we need to do when we have when we click on that button, we want to load the template. So I'm going to use the comments here to write down what we're going to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to switch to the project of that template. So I'm going to say here, switch to the project. Then I want to load the scene inside of the project. The reason why I'm writing this in Max comment is that we understand what we're trying to do. And then after that, we're going to give ourselves tools to be able to just copy and paste this macro script, because we don't want to write this macro or this whole structure every time we create a new template. So we're going to make it so that it's generic enough so that it can be easily reusable, and we can add as many macro script as we want inside of this templates_loads. So all of our macro script will reside in that single script, and it will give us all of the scripts that we need to load all of our files that we're going to create for our template-based system. So to switch the project, there is a command called, and it's a long command, and you can find all of that in the Max script help if you want to. So just look for the current project folder command, and you'll find that. So just to give you an idea, I'm just going to go back here, help, and 3ds Max script help, and it's going to bring you into the help. I'm going to go here. I want to search in scripting and documentation, and there's a current project folder command. If I remember, it might be current project folder. Actually, you know what? The best way to find it, instead of looking at this, I'm going to say path config, and the path config structure is here, and that's where you can find all of the command for get current project and blah blah blah, and the path of the project and set the current project. So all of these here, all of these command are available. So if you look for path config, that's where you're going to get the command. So that's where you find all of the details of the command that I will be using here. So I'm going to close this down. The first thing we need to do is we need to define to which project we want to switch to. So I'm going to say path config, which is and then dot, which is the way to access the tool, set current project folder, and I don't want to make any mistake here. So path config, set current project folder, and then space and the project that we want to switch to. So what I'll do here is, because I want that to be generic enough to be reusable, I'll create a variable, and I'm going to name that variable project to load. So that's a variable. So whatever is in that variable is going to switch to that project. So I'm going to copy and paste that variable here, and I'm going to define it here at the top. And the reason why I'm defining it at the top, I'm going to say here setup project and scene to load, and by just changing the variables that are at the top, I'm going to be able to forget about the part that is at the bottom. So project to load, whatever scene I want to load, I'm going to put it in a variable here. So I'm going to say equal, and in here I need to put the path to my current project. So what I'll do is I'll just go, and actually I'm going to find out where that path is, and in my case it was in D, and I remember that it was in templog and templates. That's where my project here. So what I'll do is I'll just copy that path here, minimize this, and I'm going to put it in between here. And when you have a backslash, you always need to have double backslash. So that's a way, when it's in between quotes here, when you define a variable as a string, you need to have 2 times the backslash in order for it to work. So now we've defined the project to load. That's going to be the templog templates. That's the project that's going to load. No matter where you are on your system or which project is currently active, it's going to set this one as the current one. So now that we got that, what I need to do is I'm just going to pause for a second to review my notes and come back. So now we're ready to define that the scene to load. And to define that scene to load, there's a command, Max command, that's called load max file, and now I can define the file to load here. And what I'll do is, instead of doing the same, I want to do the same thing where I want it to be generic. So I'm going to create a variable called file to load, And the file to load, we're going to create the thing about the file to load is that we need to give it a very precise name with a path. That's going to be very important. So we need to build that file to load variable. So to start with, what I'll do is I'll put it here, and we are going to define that variable before is equal. And right now we're just going to put an empty string, but I'm just going to create that load max file command. When we load the command, I said it at the beginning, when the silence error equal true, we're not going to pop up the units if their units are different from the current scene to the new scene. So what we want to do is we want to define what we're going to do with this. So I'm going to say use file units, and I'm going to set that to true, which means whatever units this file is, use those units. Don't stay on the old units, use the new ones. And I'm going to say here quiet true. It's a second way to pretty much say the same thing as silence error true, which means that if ever there's an error as it loads or a warning or anything like that, it's just going to set it to be quiet, which means that it's just going to load the file without giving me any warning. Or also, when you do file max, when you try to load a file like this, if the previous one is not saved or things like that, the quiet true means that it's not going to ask you to save the old file. It's just a quicker way to jump to the file as you click on it without having to click OK, and yes and no and all of that. It's just a quicker way. So now we need to define the file to load. And the file to load, when we say load max file, we need to give it the full path of the file. So when we set the project to load, we need to give it the path, the physical path on the drive. So the file to load, we're going to say we are going to start with the project to load folder. I'm going to say copy hit. So that's going to be I need to go in that folder. I also need to go into the scenes folder because it's a bit deeper here. So I'm going to say plus. You can build a string like this, plus, and I'm going to say //. I want to go into the scenes folder, //, and then I'm going to give it plus, and here I want to define which scene I want to load. And because I want that to be generic, I'm going to use a variable. I'm going to say scene to load, and the scene to load, I'm going to name it here. So scene to load, it's a variable. I'm going to say equal, and it's called bar_3.max. So I'm going to say bar_3.max, and we're done with this. So what's happening now is that we have the file to load. It's going to take the path that is in project to load, plus it's going to go within the scenes folder, plus it's going to take bar_3.max. So we just created the full path to that file to load. The load max file is going to happen here, and at the top, we don't really care about this part because this part is always going to be the same no matter which scene I want to load. So I don't have to rewrite anything. The only thing that I really care about is to define the project, and in this project it will always be the same. And the scene to load, I'm going to change the scene to load, and we're going to be able to create as many macro scripts as we want from that kind of template of macro scripts. I'm going to save this for now. Save, tool, evaluate all. Now we're going to see if it works. I'm going to go back into my script and see if we have any errors. So that's good. We don't have any errors. So we should have that script now available. And because we already put it into a menu, if I press on 3 bars, it's going to open up my file. So if I go here and say reset, I don't want to save. Yes, I want to reset. So I'm from an empty scene. If I go back in templates here, 3 bars, click on it, and boom, we got it loaded. And that's what this macro script is doing. So now that we're done with this macro script, like I said, we can copy this macro script multiple times, save it in that same MS file, and we're going to be able to populate this menu with multiple icons and multiple files to load, and we're going to create multiple submenus in order to organize that. So that's kind of the first part. We've looked at how to create a bar chart, how to customize it, and now what we have is, as if I want to build this, go back, load the 3 bars, it loads the scene, I select this object, I make a few adjustments to the value here, and let's just make random values. I'm going to switch the colors to something a bit different, something like that, something like this here, and we are going to, I'm going to call that time and axis interest. I don't know why I came up with these ideas, but anyway, so that's what I'm going to use for now. And now we have our graphic, and it's ready to render. Oh, interesting. All right, I didn't save my file with the callbacks a bit earlier, so that's why the callbacks were not executed. But now, if I want to do this, time and interest, here we go. We're done with that, and that's the templates that we built for bars.